How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. So, as I look at my graph, I'm thinking about the progression that I've shown throughout all of the modules. So if you can see, like on my pre-test, I didn't do very well, but it wasn't really that bad. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, well, in order to study and get better, I need to be above that line. That line is 80, right? And we want to show mastery.
Oh, yeah, that's the mastery line, yes.
Right, so I didn't show mastery on a pre-test, which kind of makes sense because I didn't learn anything. So I knew to study really hard for that mid, and it really grew. It like shot up.
Wow, yeah, sure did.
And then I saw that and I was thinking like, I don't have that much room for growth, right? So I'm almost at the top. I'm happy with my score, but now I'm thinking, how can I get any better? So I studied hard again, and I did decrease on the post, which was kind of disappointing, but it only went down by 4 points, and I still ended up at the 95, right? So what do you think about, like, what do you think about it?
I think those are good tests, and I think you had a good process in mind, and it looks a little bit like mine, in the sense that did a similar thing with the pre-test, not so good on pre-test, but that's okay, because pre-test just kind of let me know what I don't know about what we're about to study.
Right.
And then on that first test, I took the test, did fairly well on it, but there were some things that I missed on that first test. And I wanted to do better on the post-test. I always like to try my hardest, and so before that test, I remember coming in for tutoring and just said, I want to look at that previous test, that mid-test, and say, what was it that I had a hard time with? And I had a little bit of a hard time with the scientific notation that we were going over, and so I just made some notes about the scientific notation, and on my post-test, I did better. And I think that really made a difference, that helped.
So what do we call that again? It's when we do better, it's called, we did worse, and then we do, growth, like you showed growth.
Right.
Okay, so you showed growth, and that's what we want, and I hope, as I took Module 2, I was hoping that would happen with me.
Okay.
So when I took the pre-test on Module 2, I must have known a lot. But when I went to take the mid-module assessment, I did pretty well. I got an A.
Yeah.
If you can see here. So I showed mastery, and then I came into tutoring because I really wanted to get better. Even though I already got an A, I wanted to get a higher A. So I came into tutoring, and I noticed that the questions that I struggled with the most, because I was allowed to look at my tests during tutoring, were rotations, and I had a lot of trouble with rotating around the origin. I think that was just hard for me, remembering the rules and just remembering how to do it accurately. So there were a couple minor errors on this test that I knew I could fix. So took the post-assessment, which had similar concepts, a lot of rotations around the origin, a lot of other things, and I grew by 7.5%. So 8.5%.
Great.
6.5%.
Yeah.
Something.
6.5.
So I grew a lot on that post-assessment and almost showed a perfect score because I came to tutoring and I used my test to increase my score.
And you had a plan. Mm-hmm. You put together something that was going to, was a weakness, and then you said, I'm going to make it a strength.
Yes.
Just by spending some extra time studying on it.
Yeah, so I'm pretty pleased with those 2 modules of data, and third module will happen soon. So how was your module 2, data?
It was good, a little different than the first module. Similar in that the mid-assessment, the first test I took, was a good score. And I practiced the same idea. I said, okay, it still was not as it wasn't 100%, and that's what I always want to try to shoot for, is the best that I can do. So I tried to find where some of the weaknesses were and to study for those. And on my post-test, I actually did a little bit worse. And that happens sometimes. But I think it still means, well, it doesn't mean I shouldn't do what I did. It doesn't mean that I should not prepare for that test. It just means you don't always get the highest score you'd like to get.
And if you look at it, did you still show mastery on that assessment?
Yeah, I still showed mastery, and I shouldn't complain. I only went down 4 points.
Right. So it might have just been the tough question and stuff like that. So keep doing what you're doing. So what's your projected score for the post-test? What do you think for Module 3? If we look ahead a little
Well, in my Module 3, it's going to be a little bit challenging because we're talking about similarities, and really we're talking about this whole thing with the dilations, and then we have to move them. But I think that's going to be the tough part. I'm understanding the Pythagorean theorem pretty good, but I've got to understand how to take a shape, dilate it, and then how does it move around that coordinate plane. And that's where I think if I get that done, I should have a good score.
Okay, so you're projected to do pretty well. I agree with you. Those are, tough concepts, and I studied really hard. So we took it the other day. My mid-module was in the B range, so I'm really hoping that post gets to an A with all the studying I did.
I think it will. I like this idea of the data days and looking at my sheet and figuring out how I can do better the next time.
Yeah, me too. I think this will let me be aware of what I'm about to do and take my tests, and I think this is really helpful. Thank you.